on this episode of the Clip Service podcast. It's been a roller coaster of a 5 game stretch since we last talked. Highs and lows, ebbs and flows. But so the story goes for the Clip Show. And I'm sounding like Dr. Sos. Sos. Okay, anyway, guys. It's been a wild couple of games for the Clippers. It's like some of the worst losses that we've taken thus far and some of the best wins. So if you're here for a wild ride, then you're probably loving what's going on with the Clippers. So we're going to break all of that down and a lot more coming up. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service podcast. Please make sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rola, and this is my co-host, Nick. Let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it indeed, guys. This is the Clip Service podcast. We're feeling a little bit chipper, feeling a little good. Just came off of a great win.
Silly.
But, with that being said, we have to talk about, the opposite side of the spectrum. And we'll get that out of the way first. Clippers took some really bad losses since we last talked. If I'm not mistaken, last episode, we finished off talking about a loss of the first 2 games to the Lakers, which was a bummer, as it always is. Lakers are playing really well right now, and the Clippers, at that point, were playing really, really bad. But we talked about it. We really need to take a win in that second game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that was not the case.
We didn't do shit. Last episode, I'm just going to step in here really quick, Nick.
Please.
Last episode, I was very passionate and distraught, for lack of a better term, about the Clippers and what we had been doing lately. And the Clippers gifted me and responded by losing to the Lakers a second time. But, at least Kawhi Leonard showed up. He had 33 points, 10 boards, no assists. Ivica Zubac, 12 points, 3 assists, 10 boards. James Harden kind of had a lackluster game, 13 points, 8 assists. Chris Dunn kind of went off with 15 points. But overall, I felt like the Clippers didn't really want it as much.
Also, we got to talk about Norman Powell checking in for 9 minutes and then checking out with a different injury. That was as bad as it gets.
Yeah, Norm Powell, to me, it felt like he came back too soon. Almost like he felt like we were falling off, which we were falling off. And, got re-aggravated. Well, not re-aggravated, but got injured again and did not come back and hasn't come back, right?
Yeah, so, I guess the ruling was the initial injury was knee tendinopathy. Plays 9 minutes in this game, goes out with what they said is a hamstring strain, and then from that point they ruled that he would miss a week and a half or something like that. So he still hasn't come back yet.
So the shit that pisses me off, man, is looking at the Lakers box score. This is just a refresher because this game happened last Sunday. Luka Doncic with 29 points, man. He destroyed us.
He was okay.
He had the highest plus after Dorian Finney-Smith. He had the highest plus minus on the team with a plus 19. Luka Doncic is known for kind of pouring on the points against the Clippers. We usually, the game plan is usually to let Luka go off and keep him from getting others involved. And so he usually has inflated numbers against us. In this scenario, I feel like that wasn't the case. I feel like he just torched us in every way possible with 29 points, 9 assists, and 6 boards. LeBron James had 17 points, 9 assists, and 5 boards. And then for some reason, Dalton Connect had 19 points, which low-key kind of pisses me off more than anything.
Well, that can I interject for a second?
Yeah.
That's what was the most frustrating to me is, and you've seen this, a little bit, even when Luka was a Maverick. I think Ty's philosophy tends to be, if Luka's cooking, you let him cook, run single coverage, do what you can, but don't try to let the other guys get involved. But the problem was when Luka started heating up, we were throwing too many doubles at him, or we were switching Zoo onto him, and the defense was scrambling, and he was finding Dalton Connect for a couple like open threes. Gabe Vincent hit a couple big. I think Gabe Vincent hit a couple big shots, possibly, maybe.
He did, yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, the problem to me wasn't really Luka going off, because there's an inevitability with Luka where if he's locked in, he's gonna score.
Yeah.
But the problem is we didn't shut down guys like Dalton Connect. And Dalton Connect hadn't been shooting well up to that point. He's been very hit and miss, very hot and cold. I mean, he's a rookie. He's going to figure it out. But he's been really inconsistent this season, I feel like, percentage-wise. And the Clippers let him get shooting practice against them.
Yep.
That was the biggest thing for me, is letting the other guys punish you.
And we discussed this last week, where it seemed like the Clippers have been very lazy on defense and closing out on 3-point shooters, and we really saw it in this game where we just had lazy defense and the Lakers just took advantage. Like you said, Dalton Connect hadn't been really having good games recently and good shooting games, and he just came out and like you said, shooting practice and just put up shots and buckets. I'm just not as angry this time around. I mean, I feel like the game that we should have won should have been the first game.
The first one, yeah.
Because, like I said last week, we're kind of they call us the younger brother in LA. Obviously the Lakers have the biggest fan base in the NBA, so it's hard for us to be in the same city. So that should be a motivation for the Clippers, but it didn't look like they were motivated. And then we saw more of the same this game. So it was almost like we kind of knew what was coming type of thing. But it was nice to see Kawhi finally kind of put like, I guess, score a decent amount of points.
Looked more aggressive, for sure.
Exactly. I think this might have been his season high at this point. 33
probably,
points.
Yeah. Probably. And he played 40 minutes. So, I mean, I think this was one of the first games where his minutes restriction was kind of lifted. But yeah, I mean, that was great to see. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't enough, obviously. This was a really bad game from Amir. Amir's been pretty up and down lately. Only 3 points, no attempts, no shot attempts. He got all of his points from the free throw line, which, you kind of need the role players to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
Bogey was okay, and he's been better as of late, but I think this was kind of the tail end of Bogey's like really, really cold stretch.
Yeah.
And Clippers didn't get a whole lot of help from their bench. I think honestly there was a sense of shell shock too, with Norm checking back out of the game. This is your leading scorer. This is a guy that's really, been in the running for most improved player. He's playing like an all-star this season. He comes in, plays 9 minutes, and then you see him get checked out with another injury. I think there was a level of kind of shock, and the Clippers were just playing a step slow, and I think that was kind of in the back of their minds. I would have liked to see the team kind of rise to the occasion in response to that, and unfortunately they kind of fell flat in response, which is not what we needed.
Right. And then, 2 days later, the Clippers played an even worse game against the Phoenix Suns.
Well, an even worse
Uh,
quarter. All of the damage was in the fourth quarter.
yeah.
Go ahead and talk about that, and I'll chime in.
Um, but yeah, so I'm not gonna lie to you. I watched the first half of this game. We were up by almost 20 points at half, or maybe more than 20. And I turned off the game, went to bed, woke up the next morning. Clippers lost. I'm in my bed the next morning, about to go to work, confused.
Rola was about to call out.
I was fully convinced the Clippers were going to win this game, and it just didn't happen. And then, watching the highlights the next morning, watching the recap, it just looked like the Clippers fell completely apart at the end of the game. I believe the Suns made like a 20 plus point
23.
comeback, 23 point comeback, and Kevin Durant, or led by Kevin Durant, and he, dropping 34 points, 4 assists, and 7 boards. I mean, they didn't really play that great of a game. I'm looking at their box score. Devin Booker was a -9 with 17 points, 8 assists, and 5 boards. Like, not a crazy game from their stars. But it just seemed like the Clippers just completely fell apart, I'm assuming, on defense. Nick, I don't know if you want to talk about this a little bit further in detail.
Yeah,
I don't know if
no,
you got a chance to watch
I
the end
would,
of this game.
I would love and hate to, because this game was. I watched all of this. Unfortunately, it was like looked like it was going to be the game that turned the Clippers season around, or at least where something was kind of a spark was kind of ignited, and the Clippers were going to start playing better. Basically,
Right.
up to the third quarter, the Clippers were dominating. I mean, I think at some point in the second quarter, the the Suns looked so out of sorts on defense because the Clippers were just chopping the Suns up. That
They
the Suns,
had they were playing shit defense.
it was horrible. Stan Van Gundy was on the call that game, and every possession he was talking about how bad the defense was from the Suns, because
Yeah.
it was truly, it was horrible, and they were all blaming each other, throwing their hands up. There was at one point
Yep.
where Mike Budenholzer tries to pull KD aside, and KD throws his hand away. It looked like the epitome of what the Suns season had been up to that point. It looked like they were ready to fall apart. Kind of similar to what happened last year. There's a point where you can see the season kind of slipping between their fingers. And I'm not saying that the Suns are going to even make the play-in. I think that they're still bad.
Right.
But the writing was on the wall. The Clippers were playing great. Kawhi had a poster dunk on Nick Richards. Everything was looking great in this game. The Clippers led had 41 points in the second quarter and led by 65 to 49 at the half, I believe. The Clippers defense was swarming in the third. Fourth starts, and unfortunately Nico Batum turns the ball over. Kevin Durant gets out in transition, gets a bucket. Kevin Durant hits a 3, 5-0 run for Kevin Durant, and then the wheels just started falling off. And
Yeah.
James Harden's been incredible the last couple weeks, but this was one game where, I mean, if you look at the box score, Ivica Zubac had 35 points. Zoo had a fantastic game,
He
but
went off.
the problem was, I think, late down the stretch, James Harden, and I can't fault him too much for this because he's been so good in these situations this season, but I think James Harden started to see the Suns going on a run, and he wanted to put the team on his back and shoot haymaker shots. And there were a couple possessions where Zoo had position on Devin Booker in the post, and James Harden would shoot a 3, and the Clippers wouldn't get back on transition.
Right.
It would lead to an easy transition bucket for the Suns. And that was kind of the name of the game going down the stretch. The Suns started to chip away. The building started getting into it. The fans started getting involved. And long story short, the Suns ended up taking a lead late in the fourth, and it was kind of too much to overcome.
Yeah.
And this was, I mean, I don't think it's crazy saying that this was the worst loss of the season. And it was honestly one of the worst losses in a regular season that I've seen from the Clippers in a long time, just considering what was at stake. I think at that point the Clippers had possession of the 6th seed. They get knocked down to the 7th seed or 8th seed, whatever. The Warriors take their place. Thankfully, and we'll talk about it later, but the Clippers do have the tiebreaker on the Warriors. So if it comes to a tie, Clippers will have the advantage. But just everything that was at stake. The Suns looked like shit. The Clippers looked great, and it just completely went away. Just right before, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Clippers Twitter was crashing out. I can't remember
They were crashing out big time.
I can't remember whose Twitter what's it called?
Whose Twitter handle
Spaces,
it was?
Twitter Spaces or whatever, like the little
Yeah,
chat
yeah.
rooms or whatever. I
Oh, they
joined
were
one
going off.
and it was it was. I mean, it. I felt it in my
Oh, that's
soul.
so funny, dude.
Dime Dropper took to YouTube and went live, and he, as he always does, kept it real and gave
Yeah.
his take on it. And I couldn't agree more with what he was saying. It was bad, and Clippers Twitter was in. I mean, Clipper fans were in shambles, myself included.
Can I say something really quick?
Sure, yeah.
Um, a while back ago, I can't remember if I was talking to you just like casually or if it was on the podcast, but I said Zubac can shoot the fucking basketball.
You
And I
did.
said
You
they
did.
need to give him more chances outside of the paint. I think that we look
I'm
at
not
Zoo
there
as
yet.
just I'm just saying I think that we look at Zoo as just a rebounding big or a big that just gets boards and dunks, right? And sometimes makes post moves and scores. But I think Zoo, at this point of his career, has shown that he's more than that. One, two, he wants it more than most of our team, if not everyone on every single person on our team. And I think that we need to give him more chances. I don't really understand why we don't go to him at the end of the game or even most of the game. He's kind of shown this entire season that he fucking wants it and he wants to score and he wants to win, and it feels like almost every other game he has a double double. You know what I mean? So I really don't understand why we don't reward him. And like you were saying, like James Harden was trying to put the team on his back. I don't understand the thought process behind that. Like I understand James Harden is as an MVP, former MVP. He's great. He hits his step back threes. But if Zoo is going off and he has 35 points, if he's leading the team with 35 points, feed the man.
Yeah.
He's shown that he can do it. He's shown in the game that he can score. Feed the man. I don't understand why we're not giving him a bigger role than he has right now on the team.
Yeah, and I think that the Clippers were doing a really good job of getting him involved. I think it was a situational thing because the Clippers were doing, and all season long, the Clippers have done a pretty good job. Namely, James Harden has done a pretty good job at getting Zoo involved. Zoo's expanded his offensive game significantly this season. He's scoring with ease on a lot of people in the post. His footwork, his touch around the rim. He likes that like 7 foot, 8 foot floater that has no height or arc on it at all, and it goes in every time. Like he's been
Yeah.
able to really be a huge source of offense. The problem is, I think it was situationally the Clippers saw that their momentum and their lead was going away, and they just wanted to hit the home run play to put them away in one possession, and that to me is more to your point. That's not the way to go. When it's working, when Zoo's eating, when Zoo has position on smaller guys like Devin Booker, you need to keep feeding him. And I think
Yeah.
that if that happened, the Clippers would have won this easy. I mean, I don't think that's crazy to say, and I don't think it's crazy to say that Zoo's been a top 5 center this season. I
It's not.
really think that that's the case. I mean, he's been one of the most efficient scorers in the league. He's been great on defense. He's been durable. He's played almost every game. Utilize that, and the Clippers went away from that, and that put the nail in the coffin. Yeah, worst loss of the season, and now the Clippers, they've been playing well the last couple games, but the Clippers are going to have to fight their way out of the play-in situation. And I think if the Clippers finish the season in the play-in, I'm going to be honest, I don't like their chances. Just because there's, the play-in is a really tough situation. It's, win or go home in some cases, depending on where you are in the play-in. Thankfully, the Clippers now have the tiebreaker on the Kings and have the tiebreaker on the Warriors, so that gives them some help in
A
getting
little
out of the
bit, yeah.
play-in. But yeah, I mean, backs against the wall, we're against the ropes, and games like this are a huge part of that. Games that you're
I
supposed to
agree.
win. But yeah, I mean, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about in this game? This game made me sick to my
No.
stomach.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Um,
This was a trash game. I think we need to move on.
yeah. Now, Clipper Nation, I know that we've dwelled enough on two absolutely horrible losses. Now let's turn the page. The Clippers faced the Detroit Pistons, who've been playing incredible. I think they were like 9 of their last 10 games, or won 9 of their last 10 games up to that point. And this was the second night of a back-to-back too against the Pistons. They played Phoenix in Phoenix. They went back home to Intuit Dome and played Detroit on the following day on a Wednesday. And like I said, the Pistons have been playing really, really well. Cade Cunningham's looking like, he's not going to win MVP. He's not, in the top 3, but he's looking like that sort of candidate this season. He's been great. They're getting a lot of help from their role players. Malik Beasley, I think, leads the league in either 3-point percentage or 3-point makes. Tobias Harris has been great. Duran, guys like that have been awesome. Asar Thompson's been great. And this was one that I was kind of worried about, especially after taking such a heartbreaking loss against the Suns, going and playing a young Pistons team that we lost to last time around on the second night of a back-to-back. I was worried. But I'm happy to report that the Clippers won this game, 123-115, and the man of the game was none other than Mr. James Harden, who went completely bonkers and dropped 50 points. He did shoot 20 free throws, but I think that most of them were warranted. I think obviously James Harden gets the benefit of the doubt in some cases, but if you look at the free throw disparity the free throw differential from a team standpoint, the Clippers had 26 free throws and the Pistons had 19, so they only led total team free throws by 7. So it wasn't like the Clippers as a team shot 20 more free throws than the Pistons. It was just James Harden was being aggressive, was finding a way to get to the line. He was shooting it from 3. He was getting his floater. He was getting to the line. He was getting guys involved. I mean, it wasn't just James Harden. If you look at the box score, Ivica Zubac's chipped in with 22, 23 from Bogdan Bogdanovic. This was his best game of the season. Hit some clutch threes. In this one, I believe there was a point in which the Pistons were kind of starting to make a run, and I think that they had taken the lead. Bogey hits 2 back-to-back threes, hand in his face. On the other end, draws a charge. Ball goes the other way, leads to a Chris Dunn layup. This game was great. Chris Dunn, speaking of the devil, hit a couple big corner threes, which has not been his bread and butter at all. But he was 2 for 2 from 3, hit a couple big clutch threes down the stretch. This was great, but James Harden was absolutely in his bag in this game, and this was really, really cool to see. Did you watch this one, Rola? Or
Yeah. I just want to say, when was the last time we've seen a Clipper score 50 points?
The last time,
because
I believe the last time that a Clipper scored 50 was...
Is that Jamal Crawford?
No. I think it was Lou. I think it was Lou Williams against the Warriors. Let me look that up. Keep talking. I'm gonna
because dude, what James Harden did in this game, I feel like no one really talked about it. But I've never in my time being a Clipper fan, I can't remember the last time like a star on our team has unloaded, dropped that many points. Like I don't know if I've seen a Clipper drop that many points ever in my entire life. So it was very exciting to watch, very exciting to see.
I have the stat right here also.
Who's the last?
The last person to do it was Lou Will against the Warriors, so I was right. Lou Will against the Warriors, 50 points, 2018.
2018.
Prior to that, it was Bob McAdoo.
See?
No, excuse me. Charles Smith, 1990 against Denver.
That was the last time before Lou?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, so I think like I said, I feel like this game wasn't really talked about from James. Like this game from James Harden wasn't really talked about as much as it should have been. He's the second player since whatever year you said
1990, yeah,
1990 to score 50 points in a Clipper uniform. That's unreal. I mean, I feel like I've been pretty hard on James Harden as a Clipper. I think he started out the season a little bit lazy. I feel like he started out not in his groove. But I mean, it's hard to to kind of criticize this dude when he's like still making history like this.
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I
pretty
mean?
incredible, and that's why I said what I said when I felt like James Harden up to this point out of star players has been the best Clipper. Um, I don't know.
I mean,
I still kind
you
of stand by it.
you might be right on that. You might be right on that. Because yeah, I think that's was just my main takeaway from this game. I know the Pistons are a great team, and you know they're really on the come up and everything. But to me, this was fully a James Harden game, vintage James Harden. Um, Beautiful to see in a Clippers uniform. Something that, like I said, I guess other than Lou Will, like I'm not used to seeing. So it was just very refreshing and a really great game to watch and enjoy. Like you said, Bogey hit some clutch shots.
Yeah, that was awesome to see too. I mean, we
Yeah,
really
to
needed
see him
that.
kind of like get into his groove finally. Zoo, like I said, the dude is getting double doubles every other game. And he had another one here, 22 points with 11 boards.
Kawhi didn't even play
And
in this one either. Second out of a back to back.
exactly. So it's this was just a great game to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, also I got to give a shout out to Jordan Miller and Kobe Brown. Ty Lue trusted those guys to come in and contribute. They didn't have great games, but the two things that stood out was both of them. I think it was like in succession too. Both of them had putbacks, like off of missed shots, and it kind of kept the Clippers in it because for a while Dennis Schroeder was completely carving up the Clippers. He was. He ended up having, let's see, he was 5 for 9 from three, so 5 threes. Cade Cunningham was awesome in this one also, the 37 points. Cade Cunningham kind of just walks into these point totals now. He's that good, and you kind of don't
Yeah,
realize it until you look at the final box score. But him and Dennis Schroeder were fantastic, and they, like I said, they were starting to kind of run away with the game a little bit or extend the lead. But guys like Jordan Miller and Kobe Brown kind of uh, helped, stop the bleeding a little bit. And so I got to give those guys credit too.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, really, it boils down to James Harden. And, I think if you look at the minutes breakdown too in this one, 39 minutes from Bogdanovich, 38 minutes from James Harden. Like James Harden's been playing a ton of minutes. And to come in here in the second out of back-to-back without Kawhi Leonard, after taking the worst loss of the season and responding with the 50-piece, it was really special to see. It was one of my favorite moments,
Yeah.
if not my favorite moment of the season. It was just really cool, and it was really, really meaningful, and it kind of thankfully bled over into the next game. I liked our chances going into this Knicks game. I was watching the game prior. The Knicks were on the second out of a back-to-back. I was watching the game prior. They ended up going to overtime, I believe, against the Lakers.
Against the
and
Lakers.
And Jalen Brunson ended up twisting his ankle pretty bad.
Yeah.
I assumed that he wasn't going to play in that one just based on how bad how bad he turned his ankle in that one, and that was the case. So the Knicks did not have Jalen Brunson in this one. This one was kind of more of an even matchup. It wasn't, the Clippers didn't run away with this one, but based on what we saw in that Pistons game, there was a kind of swagger that I assumed that the Clippers would go into this game with. And this game was kind of like a game of runs. The Clippers started out going on a 9-0 run to start the game, had a 9-point lead, and the Knicks went on a run, and it was kind of back and forth. But the one thing that stood out to me, I'll talk about the leading scores in a second, but the one thing that stood out to me in this one that I really, really enjoyed, Nico Batum started this game, and this was easily Nico's best game of the season. 5 threes, 17
Easily.
points, 2 blocks, 2 steals, was doing it on both ends. It was a vintage Nico game. For Clipper fans out there, Nico Batum is one of the more beloved Clippers, in recent history. He's up there with, Reggie Jackson and Lou Will and, those beloved Clipper role players, Pat Bev.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, Nico's been struggling a bit this season. He's, his age is kind of shown at certain moments, but to get the start, to step up to the plate and to give 17 points in a game that really, really mattered against a good Knicks team. He did a great job on Karl Anthony Towns, who's been on a tear this season. and his switchability allows the Clippers to kind of hang with Towns when Towns brings it out to the perimeter. Towns ended up having a good game, with 27 points, I believe, or no, 23 points. But Nico Batum was a huge reason why Towns wasn't really able to get up to his normal 30 points or whatever. So James Harden had 27, which was awesome, especially after that 50-point game. 16 from Zoo, 20 from Kawhi. Good game from everybody, but to me, the player of the game in this one was Nico Batum. This was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a chance to watch this one, but kind of like you said, going off of the game before, I mean, the next one it went to overtime against the Lakers. Jalen Brunson injured. So kind of going into it, I assume the Clippers, this would kind of be of course it's the Knicks and they have, scrappy players. They have Karl Anthony Towns, McCall Bridges. Those are they're not anyone to minimize.
Yeah, totally.
But
20 points from Josh, or 20 rebounds from Josh Hart is insane.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how this dude gets rebounds. He's like 6'6".
He's just got a nose for the ball, dude. His positioning is incredible, and he's got a really high motor.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Kawhi was gonna, he was coming back and playing, so I just felt like with a full squad outside of Norman Powell, I feel like this was a game that we should have won. And like you said, it's beautiful to see role players such as like Nico Batum step up and drop 17 points when we really need him. I think that he is a straight up professional, and when he's needed, I feel like he answers the call a lot. He locks in on defense, and he steps up to guard some of the best players. And
I think he's one of the best role players of all time, to be perfectly honest with you.
I might agree with that. And when he gets an open corner three, he most of the time he hits them. And in this game he did just that, and played his role to perfection. And I think that was, like you said, I think that was a big reason to why we won this game.
Yeah, 100%. I think to kind of end it, I think that I've touched on it in prior episodes, but I do think that you can give the Stars, you can talk down on the Stars and you can give them their criticism when they don't play well, obviously, and they come first. But I think that a big reason why the Clippers have been struggling throughout this season at times has been they just haven't been able to get enough juice from their role players, and I think a big part of that has been specifically missing those wide open threes. I mean, you look at Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn gets a ton of space. I mean, defenses kind of ignore him from the corner, and when he's not hitting those open threes, it's really it really hurts the Clippers. I mean, it forces Ty Lue to say, okay, it's not working. I mean, Chris Dunn is probably the best defender I've ever seen in a Clipper uniform, like truly. Not ever seen, period. But I honestly think he's better than
in a
Pat.
Clipper uniform.
Yes,
better than Kawhi.
Kawhi. I think that the defensive highs that I've seen from Chris Dunn in a Clipper uniform have been better than anything I've ever seen. I mean, obviously we have Luc Mbah a Moute and Pat Bev and Kawhi, obviously.
Better than prime DeAndre Jordan.
It's a different kind of defense. But I mean, Chris Dunn's been amazing. Bottom line from that side of the ball. But the offensive end is where the role players have kind of struggled at times. Nico's been hot and cold. Early on in the season, Amir's hot and cold. Derek Jones is pretty consistent, but he'll miss his open threes from time to time. Bogey in his first 4 games as a Clipper was really, really bad at hitting his open threes. But games like this, it shows how much better the Clippers are when the role players are getting getting looks and they're making teams pay. I mean, you look at all the other teams in the league, their stars go off, but the X factor is always, we can't double Luka now. We can't double Jalen Brunson now. We can't double Shea now because Lou Dort and Dalton Connect and Rui Hachimura and OG Anunoby and like guys like that are hitting their shots. Like, it opens up the floor so much for their stars, and Nico Batum was a huge reason why the Clippers won this one.
Agree.
It was awesome to see. But the final game that we're going to recap is going to be probably what was the most important win that the Clippers took of the last 3, just in terms of what was at stake. I think that's not super crazy to say that the Kings are currently at. Let me see what the standings are real quick. Kings are currently at 9th. At this point, they were only, I think, a half game or a full game behind the Clippers. And yeah, they were a half game behind the Clippers. And this game would have not only, separated the Clippers a little bit more in the standings and keep them from falling too far into the play-in, but it also allowed the Clippers to take the tiebreaker against the Kings, which is, the Clippers don't have a ton of tiebreakers this season. They lost the tiebreakers to Minnesota and OKC and Houston and all these guys, but to have it against now the Kings and the Warriors, that this was a really, really huge win. And this game came down to the absolute
To the wire.
final buzzer.
Yeah.
We're going to talk, we'll break it down in a sec, but basically what happened, final score, 111, 110. Clippers are down by one, final possession. Kawhi Leonard catches the ball, top of the key. The possession didn't look like it was going anywhere, to be honest. The Clippers had about 10 seconds left on the clock. Kawhi was standing there, sizing up the defense. And I thought, oh my God, the seconds were trickling away. What is happening? Kawhi Leonard's kind of frozen in time. Kawhi Leonard puts the ball on the deck with about 3 or 4 seconds left, pivots strong side into about 5 Kings defenders, 4 or 5 Kings defenders, floats the ball over, ball trickles in, bounces off the rim a couple of times as Kawhi shots tend to do.
A little bit of luck. Yeah.
Went down. Clipper buzzer beater win. First in Intuit Dome. Kawhi Leonard walk-off floater. This was awesome. Awesome to see. It was cool to see Intuit Dome. That crowd pop when the shot went down. It's cool to see Kawhi celebrate. Everybody was crowding around him. This game was a slugfest, and this game did go to overtime. I did leave that part out, and James Harden was big. It was a big part of why this went to overtime. James Harden hits a clutch floater to tie the game. They were able to get the stop. Chris Dunn's able to get the stop on, I believe it was Zach LaVine. To send it to overtime, but the moment of this game and one of the moments of the season was that Kawhi Leonard buzzer beater to win the game, and what was a huge, huge important win for the Clippers.
Yeah, I think especially for me, I've been preaching the tough love, and I think Kawhi went back and listened to my podcast, to listen to the podcast, and I think that gave him a little bit of motivation. So you're welcome, Clipper Nation. That was all me.
Thank you so much, Rola.
Without
you do it for the people.
Without me, there is no Clippers.
That's so true. That's so true.
No, but for real, that was amazing to see. I feel like Kawhi hasn't really been in that groove. Hasn't really been in his I think when Kawhi was first with the Clippers, or how he kind of became the Kawhi Leonard we know and love, was he was considered to be clutch. Like in the end of games, he would hit his shots, hit his mid-range, he'd get to his spots and hit his shots. And I feel like that was something that was kind of missing recently because of all the injuries he was going through, all of the ups and downs. And it was nice to see him finally, have his moment and kind of put the ball in his hands and say, you know what, Kawhi, score this for us. We don't really know what to do here. Here's the ball, win the game for us. And, like you said, dribbling into 4 defenders and just throwing the ball up and letting it bounce around and drop in. That's, like you said, that's what he does. His biggest shot that he's ever scored in his career was a shot where he got the ball and ran around and threw it up.
It bounced 7 times.
That's just Kawhi, and that's what he's known for. So it was just cool to see. I think that this week was just a cool week, man. We got to see
a lot of highs and
superstars
lows.
Be superstars.
Yeah.
When I say cool week, I mean outside
the last 3 games.
The Lakers and the
also, I agree. Our stars played like stars. Continue what you were saying, but
and that's what we pay them for. I mean, like I was saying last week, Kawhi is getting paid $50 million a year. This is what we're paying him that money for. At the end of games, we need him to win us the game. That's why he gets paid the most on the team. He needs to be a superstar. And, it's same thing with James Harden. I mean, these are the expectations of a superstar. And if we want to do something this year and do something in the playoffs, we need our superstars to be superstars.
Totally. Also, I forgot to mention, I was gushing about James Harden, I forgot to mention that Barack Obama was in the building for that one. And James Harden dropped 50 points in front of Barrio, so that was pretty cool.
And he did the nosebleeds.
He did. Yeah, James Harden also threw down a dunk, which was a huge moment and a huge momentum turner in that game against the Pistons. But yeah, I forgot to mention that that Barack Obama himself was sitting next to Steve Ballmer. I had to like do a double take. That was really cool to see. The Prez.
That's kind of it was yeah. The standing ovation was amazing. I love Obama and
Same.
Love to see James Harden go off in front of the Prez, like you said.
But yeah, I mean, going back to what you said, you know, giving the home court crowd performances like that. And James Harden was huge in this game against the Kings too. Like I said, he was the one that sent it to overtime effectively. You know, the Clippers were down by 2. James Harden, you know, puts the ball on the deck, puts his head down, gets the floater to go, ties the game up, and the Clippers got the stop on the other end to send it to overtime. But I mean, our stars really stepped up to the plate. And you know, I got to give shouts out to the role players too in this one as well. Nico Batum started off pretty hot. He only ended up finishing the game with 9 points, but was 3 for 3 from the field. All of his shots were threes. They were all very important. Obviously, this game went to overtime. We won by 1, so every point was important. Derek Jones was huge in this game. Hit a clutch go-ahead 3, I think, in regulation. So this was before overtime, or might have been in overtime as well. But Derek Jones was huge in this game. 17 points from him. Kawhi Leonard, obviously hit the game winner. 17 from him. Ivica Zubats, 22 points, 14 rebounds. Zoo struggled a little bit in this one. I think Valanciunas is a pretty underrated post defender. He's hard to move. I think Zoo had a little bit of trouble with him. And James Harden with 29. You know, James Harden kind of kept us in this game. Bogey with a modest 9. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. But, you know, I think the guys around those 3 stepped up too. Chris Dunn was great defensively. Like I said, they got the stop going into overtime. And a big part of that was Chris Dunn stopping Zach LaVine on a turnaround J. So, yeah, this was such a fun couple of games for the Clippers. And you know, it's tough to say that the Clippers have kind of revitalized themselves because I think that a lot of damage has been done up to this point. I mean, as it stands, the Clippers currently sit at 8th in the Western Conference. A full game behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Golden State Warriors. So, I mean, with a couple easier games coming, I think the Clippers can get back up to 6. But I do think that it goes a long way when the Clippers have been playing as bad as they've been playing, and the morale has been so low. You know, we're missing guys like Norm. Ben Simmons is dealing with his injuries. You know, I think that it's easy for morale to be low, but games like these and performances like these, you know, anything can happen. You know, anything is possible when you have performances like this to really, you know, refresh the vibes a bit. And, you know, this late in the season, the Clippers need every single performance like that. So I'm not going to say that the season's turned around, but when things were looking as bleak as I've seen them in a long time, the Clippers really stepped up to the plate and are currently on a 3-game winning streak, and hope to keep it going in the coming games. Guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about the next series of games. We're going to kind of breeze through previews, and then after that, we're going to get into a little segment of quick takes. So stay with us, and we will be right back. All right, guys, we are back, and we are here to talk about the next stretch of games coming up for the Clippers. Hopefully, the Clippers can keep the streak going. The first of which is going to be against the New Orleans Pelicans, who the Clippers have had trouble with lately. They do have Zion Williamson back, which is always a scary sight. He tends to eat against us. So no pun intended.
Pun intended.
But yeah, Zion Williams is.
But he's lost a lot of weight recently. I don't know if you've seen or if you've noticed.
Good for him.
Yeah, and he's been balling recently.
Good for him. I mean, he's incredible. He's an incredible player. He's just got to stay healthy. But the Clippers are going to have their hands full. This is one where I'm a little bit worried about Zoo, just because that is such a tough cover for any, you know, big that's not super mobile. Like Zion Williamson I'm going to start over. Zion Williamson presents a lot of matchup issues
Right.
because you need a guy that's mobile enough to stay in front of him, but you need a guy that's strong enough to, wall him off and keep him off the glass or keep him out of the paint. So it's a tricky thing. I think, if Zoo can try and make sure that he doesn't get within 4 feet of the rim, I think that, that's your best bet, but obviously it's easier said than done
Facts.
with him. The Pelicans are obviously still dealing with their fair share of injuries, a ton of them. But I mean, they have guys that have been really, really stepping up. Trey Murphy's been awesome for them. He's shooting lights out from three. He's kind of scoring from all three levels. Um, yeah, I mean, the Clippers are going to have their hands full. I would imagine that Kawhi Leonard. I think, from what I understand, Kawhi Leonard is going to play in this one. This is the first night of a back-to-back, so the Clipper or the yeah, Kawhi Leonard probably won't play against Miami the following day. But if we have Kawhi, I like our chances. I'm trying to look at the injury report for this one from the Pelicans side. Um, Jose Alvarado day to day. Kelly Olynyk is ruled out.
Brandon
Obviously,
Boston
Herb
Jr.
Jones and Dejounte Murray are out for the season. Brandon Boston Jr. is out. Clipper legend.
Oh,
Um,
Zion's out.
where are you seeing that? Really?
Yeah. Zion Williamson out for rest.
Against the
CJ McCollum
Clippers.
out. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's very interesting. I'm not seeing that on my end.
Oh,
Um,
well, I'm looking on ESPN.
interesting. Okay.
That's that's what it's showing as of right now. You never really know until the day of, I guess. But
No, 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 no. Off
um,
injury report for Tuesday.
yeah.
He's off the
Oh,
injury report,
oh, okay,
so he will play.
sweet.
Yeah. So everything still stands. I think the head of the snake in this situation is Zion Williamson. Obviously, the Clippers can't lose guys like Trey Murphy. He's been incredible this season. But I think the Clippers have the defensive tools with DJ. If DJ plays in this one, which I think he will, Chris Dunn, hang with their shooters. Make sure that we don't let a team that is at a disadvantage, in my opinion, in terms of talent. Don't let them start to get hot from three because for whatever reason, I don't know why, but whatever iteration of the Pelicans that the Clippers face, whether it be, you know, Brandon Ingram or Zion Williamson or CJ McCollum or Jose Alvarado, like throughout the years, the Pelicans have been giving the Clippers nightmares. And so,
Yeah, and I think that's because I think that at least as of recent years, with Brandon Ingram, I think it was because of the matchup nightmare that was Brandon Ingram and literally anyone on our team. I feel like pretty much only Nico Batum could really defend him legit, but everyone else kind of got torched,
yeah,
especially Zoo. Which I mean, I think that matchup was the reason why they beat us in the play-in 3 years ago
yeah.
or 2 years ago. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think that on paper we are the better team. We should win this game. But like you said, the Pelicans have always kind of played hard against us.
CJ
This is kind
McCollum will
of
play in this one, so he's been another
right,
one that has always given the Clippers trouble.
very true. Um, but yeah, I feel like the team is kind of now Zion's, and Zion has kind of been balling recently, and really showing what he's about and what he's kind of what the Pelicans have been missing. And I've always been a fan of Zion. I think that
Have you?
I no, I have, and I initially believed that he was the next guy up.
Yeah,
I don't think he took care of his body the way he should have.
sure.
I thought he ate too many cookies and DoorDash too much, and he should have left that cheesecake alone. But it looks like now he's really locked in on his diet, and I mean we've seen it. He looks quicker, he looks faster, he looks stronger, and he is able to get to the bucket at a more efficient rate, and he seems to really be balling. So I think if we lock in and cut the head off of the snake, I think that this should be a game the Clippers win. But You never really know what the Clippers.
And you
So
never know with the Pelicans. I mean, with
yeah,
our luck, I believe the Pelicans currently employ Mo Bamba. With any luck, Mo Bamba will have a revenge game and go for like 50
yeah,
against us.
that'd be
So yeah, Clippers
classic.
got to take care of business in this one. This is the first game, as I said, of a back-to-back. So I kind of am going into these series of games or these next two games thinking that the Clippers will split this one. I actually have the Clippers. I made my predictions for the month of March, and I do have the Clippers losing against the Miami Heat. So I kind of
Wow.
hope that the Clippers take care of business against the Pelicans, um, because I think a win in the first night of a back to back, especially considering that Kawhi Leonard will probably not play in the second one, would do a lot for to continue that mojo. And I think that the door is a lot more open against the Heat, if the Clippers can take this win in a resounding way the first night of a back to back. But yeah, the second game is going to be against the Miami Heat. This will be in Miami, I believe. Um, Give me one sec.
Yeah, I'm honestly I'm not worried about the Miami Heat.
I'm not
Um,
either as a team
I
from a team standpoint, but
I just don't think that they like. I mean, losing Jimmy Butler was, I think, very. I think it set the Heat back a lot.
yeah,
And I just don't think that they can ride Tyler Hero to do that much in the playoffs.
sure.
So I just think they're a middle of the pack kind of team currently, and this is. I think this is going to be a hard fought game. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. It's in Miami. It's against the Heat. They have a culture to play hard every single game, but I just don't really see them as a threat, if that makes any sense.
I don't either. Like I said, from like a team perspective, I just think that given this is the second night of a back to back, the Heat play really hard. Tyler Hero has been
Right.
amazing. He's been an all star this year.
Yep.
They did acquire Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins tends to play pretty well against the Clippers. Bam Adebayo, obviously a very solid all star, center. They have the pieces to make it happen. Khalil Ware has had a great, a great season, backing up Bam Adebayo, and so they have the pieces to kind of give the Clippers trouble. I think if I've always kind of said, based on how the Clippers have structured their teams the last several years under the 2-1-3 era, Clippers have done a really good job at shutting down smaller guards or guards that aren't really known for their defense, and attacking those guys. Namely like
Uh-huh.
guys like Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. And I think that Tyler Hero kind of fits into that mold. I think the Clippers have like the size and the versatility on the wing to be able to kind of punish Tyler Hero and wear him out a little bit. Like I said, I like the chances. If we're just talking about team to team, I like the chances against this one. I'm a little bit hesitant considering the situation. But I would love to see the Clippers go back to back in this one. I think, namely, the name of the game in this one needs to be make sure that Tyler Hero doesn't go for 40. He's been shooting the
Yeah.
ball at a really high clip too, taking a ton of threes, making a ton of threes, shut down that 3 point line, and keep the Heat off the glass. And I think the Clippers are in good shape in this one. The following game is going to be against. Sorry, my thing isn't loading right now.
The Atlanta.
Oh no! So the Clippers are going to be facing the the Clippers are going to be facing our son Terrence Mann. Um, that that's going to be weird. Obviously, he's not like the star
Yeah.
on that team, and so like in terms of like, oh, Terrence, we got to keep Terrence Mann from going off. Like, I don't think that's what I'm saying here, but it's
I
just
would
going to
love
be
to see
weird.
Terrence Mann go off.
I wouldn't.
Honestly, that's
No.
that's that's a,
What?
that's a loss I'm willing to take. If Terrence Mann went off, yeah, I'm really that much of a diehard ride or die
Yeah.
fan, bro. I would love to see him. I would give the Clippers one L to see Terrence Mann go off. Truly, I would love it because I
I'm not there.
would love to see that fire from Terrence Mann. I'm always going to be a fan. I don't care if it's against the Clippers for one game. Like, we know what he's capable of. He's dropped 39 points in a playoff game before, so he can drop points, and I think that not only we would be glad to see it. I honestly think the Clippers players would be glad to see.
I think you're giving too much credit to the sportsmanship of the Clippers roster.
Dude, I mean, the dude has been with the Clippers since he was a kid.
Yeah, I love Terrence Mann.
Just because
we need this
a friend, a family member goes to another team for a month, like we're supposed to hate him all of a sudden. I mean,
so,
I don't.
Here's where no, we're not gonna hate him. No, not at all. Here's where I'll meet you halfway in this one. I'll say I hope that Terrence Mann goes for 40, but if Trae Young plays in this one, if Karis LeVert play in this one, I hope that those guys go for like 2 or 3. Clippers win by 20. Terrence Mann has his 40 piece against the Clippers. Everybody embraces at half court. Terrence Mann requests a trade back to the Clippers, and past the deadline. Somehow the Clippers are able to get it done. Terrence Mann comes back to the Clippers.
What about Clint Capella? What's he scoring?
I don't know, man. Clint Capella is still solid, but he's kind of, I don't know. He's a little past his prime. I think it's safe to say.
I think he's very much past his prime.
I think that Onyeka Okongwu is kind of, he's been their better center. He's kind of their center of the future. The Clippers the Hawks are obviously without Jalen Johnson in this one, which is great for the Clippers. He's, I believe, out for the season. And I think that Trae Young and Karis LeVert are both nursing little injuries here and there. This game is on Friday, so I would imagine that one of those guys is probably back by then. But yeah, I mean, I think we touched on it earlier in the season. You kind of compared the Hawks to the Clippers in terms of I think we were saying that I was saying that I don't think that the Hawks are very good. You were saying that they're kind of similar. Maybe that was somebody else. But basically, I think that the
was not me.
Okay, bottom line, I think the Clippers and the Hawks are very similar positions in terms of like what they're capable of this season. And so, I don't take the Hawks very lightly. I think that they can win any game, especially if Trae Young's available. They can win any game that's in front of them. But again, I think that we should treat this game kind of the same way that we would treat the Heat game, where the Clippers do really well against smaller guards that can't defend. And unfortunately, just based on his stature and based on his physical limitations, Trae Young can't really hang with bigger guys like James Harden and Kawhi Leonard defensively. So attack Trae Young, I think, needs to be the name of the game. I would imagine that Terrence takes this game personally. I would imagine that he makes some pretty big plays. But I think that this game's a win for the Clippers.
I agree.
And I think what is that? The second to last? Let me check. Oh no, so the Clippers will play the Clippers will play the Charlotte Hornets, which is the last game that we're going to preview on Sunday. We'll probably get you guys with the next episode on Monday, so we want to preview this one. Not much to say about this one other than the fact that if the Clippers lose this one, that would be, considering what's at stake, where the Clippers are in the standings, this would be one that hurts pretty bad. I know the Charlotte Hornets beat the Lakers a couple weeks ago, so they can beat good teams.
Yeah,
but
they shouldn't be.
They shouldn't. And the Clippers should take the win on this one. Let me check the injury report for the Hornets.
I honestly don't have much to say on this one. I mean,
I don't.
They got LaMelo Ball.
There's no injury report.
I mean, like I
future
like
Clipper
said,
LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, like you said, they are capable of winning or beating great teams, good teams. But it's hopefully the Clippers come out not underestimating the team and actually put them away. And if they don't, then this could be an embarrassing loss.
Do you think that that this is one game where maybe James Harden or Kawhi get like a random game of rest?
I could see that.
Okay,
I could see that.
I could see that if the Clippers, I know that James Harden, which is what I love, James Harden really wants to play in every game, but I would not be surprised if James Harden rests in this one, just because he needs to be able to take a breather at some point. So we'll see what happens coming into this game, but that pretty much does it for recaps, guys. We're just going to jump right into Rola. If you're ready, we're going to jump right into a quick segment of quick takes, and then we will send you guys on your merry way to enjoy the rest of your Monday or Tuesday whenever you listen to this.
Yep. So, guys, we're going to get right into some quick takes. I got a couple takes that I want to get Nick's opinion on. Everyone keep in mind, this is a 2-minute take. It's supposed to be quick. So anything longer than 2 minutes, I'm pressing the motherfucking buzzer.
All right.
So to start it off, this past week, the Lakers beat it was against the Knicks. Lakers came to, or I can't remember if it was in LA or if it was in New York. Or it was in LA, right? The Lakers
Uh,
played the Knicks in LA.
yes. No.
The Lakers
Yes. Yes.
the Lakers played the Knicks in LA, and a certain a media member by the name of Stephen A. Smith, the host of First Take on ESPN, was sitting courtside. He is known recently for taking shots at Bronny James, LeBron James' son, and at the end of the game, a fan captured a moment when LeBron James stepped up to Stephen A. and told him to keep his son's name out of his mouth. What do you have to say about that, Nicholas Jacobs?
What do I have to say? I think that it's been a point of contention a bit, Stephen A. Smith, between you and I. I respect Stephen A. Smith in terms of the work that he's put to get to the point that he's at. I think that he says a lot of things that carry a lot of weight, but he's become a hater. He's become a hater, and he claims that he doesn't get personal with his takes, and he only rates people on their basketball capabilities and what he sees on the court. But I think time and time again he contradicts himself by doing the exact opposite. And I think that I'm not even sure what he said about Bronny, but I think that
he's basically saying he's not an NBA player. That he's only in the league because of LeBron.
Sure, but and that's always driven me crazy because why is that even a talking point? Like the kid's a rookie. He was a second round pick. Like, why are we saying that this dude is not an NBA
because
player?
He's LeBron's son.
I know.
You have to. That's the thing about media. They have to talk about the top topics. You know what I mean? And
sure,
LeBron's son being in the league is a top 5 topic in media currently.
Sure. I think to answer your question, I think Bron did what he needed to do. I think he was being a good dad. Bron, from everything, I don't know the guy personally, but from everything that I've seen, he's a great family man, a great dad. He does a lot for his family and his people, the people around him, his relationship with Rich Paul and stuff like that. So that's always something that I've really respected about LeBron. And I think that him stepping up to Stephen A. Smith and talking to him face to face like adults, I think that that's the way you handle those sort of things. I mean, of course, someone was there to film it and make it a whole thing, but LeBron wasn't telling people, "Yo, come and film this." He did what he had to do. He talked to Stephen A. face to face, and I think that it's Stephen A. is going to get a lot more of that if he keeps giving the takes that he gives, and so yeah, that's my opinion on that.
I have a different opinion actually.
Okay.
And up until maybe
you think that Stephen A. Smith
morning,
should have just swung on Bron right there?
No, I actually on a kind of go in a different direction, but I think that up until this morning, I was kind of like with your mentality of LeBron's being a father, he's doing the right thing, but I watched this little clip from Ryan Clark. He is part of the media. He played for the Steelers back in the day. He was basically saying LeBron James, Bronny is a full-grown adult playing in the NBA, which means he's subject to media criticism and talk. It doesn't matter whether it's being targeted at him or it's being targeted at LeBron James or whoever. When you sign that contract, you sign that that's what comes with being an NBA player. Is people are going to talk about you. People are going to say things. People are going to say crazy things. That's just part of part of the game. And I feel like for LeBron to almost like son another grown man, but I mean it is his son, but if someone were talking about Kyle Kuzma when Kyle Kuzma was a Laker, you wouldn't see LeBron step up to Stephen A. talking about leave him out of this type shit. You know what I mean? Bronny James is an adult. Bronny James is in the NBA, if Bronny James wants to say something, he can say something. Otherwise, it's got to just be what it is, you know? I don't think that was the right move to take when it comes to, you know, being an adult. And, you know, it goes back to that, like, nepotism type of thing where people say, like, oh, of course LeBron is going to try to protect him. Bronny's only in the NBA because of him, you know? So,
See, to me,
I
that's
don't
where
know.
the line is drawn, though. Like, I think that's why LeBron took umbrage with what was being said. I don't know what was said, but if it had to do with like LeBron is only in the league because of, or Bronny's only
Yeah.
in the league because of LeBron, like that's off the court stuff, and like to me, that's like an adult
Is
to an
that off
adult.
the court? Because I feel like that's on the court.
I mean, yes, but like then you're bringing in this whole like the nepotism thing is an off the court thing, and like I have my
Is it?
opinions on it, but to go public
I
with
feel like
it.
that's not off the court. I feel that's
Yeah,
very much on the
I
court.
just
Like
think that it's
he's
something that
playing
I
in the
like.
NBA.
I have like I take a little personally because like it was the same thing that people were saying about Austin Rivers, you know, for a long time. Like Austin Rivers is only in the league because of Doc, and like Austin Rivers proved to be a very good rotational player in the league, and like you know had his moments for the Clippers. Like the dude's a fighter, and so like I don't know. I just think that like there's a line that you cross, and I'm not a father,
Yeah.
not yet, and so I don't know what I would have done in that
Oh
situation,
shit!
but.
Is that an announcement, bro?
Yeah, I'm having a kid. No, but I don't know what I would have done. You know, if I was in LeBron's position, but it's hard to say. You know, when your children are being you know cast under scrutiny in a way that LeBron feels unfair. He did what he had to
Yeah.
do, and so I don't know. I back it.
All right. My bad. That one was a little bit over 2 minutes.
That was a medium take.
Yeah. All right. Second take. KD and the Phoenix Suns will be working together to find a destination for Kevin Durant.
Mhm.
Where do you think is the best place for him to go?
I don't know, man. Like the Clippers have their books open in 2026. Kevin
I'm
Durant.
not liking him on the Clippers, bro.
I don't really either, but it's like if the Clippers decide to run it back for one more year next year,
No, dude.
Kevin Durant will be off the books in 2026, just like everybody
No,
else.
dude. That would be so bad, bro.
If the Suns are so desperate that they trade Kevin Durant for nothing, I heard today actually that they want a young player and 3 first-round picks. So if that's the case, then
Yeah.
fuck no. But if the Suns get so desperate, like the Jimmy Butler situation, where the Heat were super desperate to get rid of him, if the Suns get so desperate to get rid of Kevin Durant that they're willing to take like Norm and like you know Kobe Brown or something like that, fuck yeah, I'll do that. But you know, realistically, I
don't
think that
know.
he'll probably go. I don't know, to like the Heat or something like that, or he'll probably go somewhere random.
I can see that.
Maybe
I
he
can see him
goes.
going
Maybe
to the
he
Heat.
goes back to the Thunder. Have a ton of first round draft capital. Maybe they do a year reunion.
I don't think so.
You don't think
him
so?
And Shea, I don't think him and Shea can coexist.
That's fair. That's fair. I just think that like if the Suns want what they're saying that they want, they're gonna have to trade with a team that has a ton of young assets and draft
Yeah.
capital, and the Thunder lead in that. Maybe he goes. Maybe Kevin Durant goes to the Utah Jazz for a year and just
Oh,
balls
that'd
out
be
with Walker Kessler.
crazy.
Let's see that. I
That'd
would
be
pay to
crazy.
see that.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know where Kevin Durant goes. I
Yeah,
don't
me
ever know
neither.
where Kevin Durant goes. I didn't see him going to the Warriors. I didn't see him going to the
said
Nets.
he did say he wants to go to a contender. So, I don't know. Maybe he goes to the Mavs, dude. And you know,
Sure.
Nico Harrison,
Yeah.
Kyrie.
Watch
KD.
Nico Harrison trades away like all of their young
Kyrie and
pieces.
AD.
Yeah. And Cam or Max Christie and oh my god, dude. That dude needs to be in jail.
Oh,
That
yeah,
dude
for
needs to
sure.
be in jail.
He's
Uh,
actually the worst.
Yeah,
Public
okay.
enemy number one.
I actually wasn't thinking of the Mavs. I could see Kevin Durant going to the Mavs.
Yeah.
Pencil him in as a Maverick.
All right. Next quick take. Going into college basketball because
March
we
Madness,
know what's
baby.
coming up. So this just in today. The odds dropped for Cooper Flagg, who is projected to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, this upcoming NBA draft. The odds came out that Cooper Flagg is more likely to go back to Duke for a second year than to enter the draft if the Hornets have the number 1 pick.
Oh, wow, that's brutal. That's brutal. That's public knowledge.
Yeah, dude.
I
How do you feel about that?
I mean, first of all, I don't think that would happen. I think if Cooper Flagg has a chance to enter the NBA,
the odds are like pretty.
I know, but
like
that could be
crazy.
who knows who's creating these odds? Who knows anymore?
Dude,
but I don't honestly.
Who does create the odds? Bro?
I don't know. Vegas.
What does that even mean?
I think that just the entity of Vegas. I think that if Cooper Flagg has an opportunity to hop into the NBA when his value is super high, because anything can happen. He can get injured. If he goes back to Duke and gets injured, he'll probably still be a top 3, top 5 pick. But look at what happened. Look at what happened to Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. There were hoops hype mixtapes all over the place, and the dude falls to 13th or whatever it was because of a back injury. So I don't know. I don't believe that, but
you still want a ring.
Yeah, but the point still stands. Like, his value could completely tank if he gets injured. So I think Cooper Flagg would take any opportunity to join the NBA. I don't think the Hornets are they have young talent. So I don't know. I think Cooper Flagg will be an NBA player after the summer of 2025.
Yeah, I think with the emergence of the NIL contract and NIL money, I could see him going back to Duke. I mean, he's probably making almost as much money at Duke as he would with his rookie contract.
Yeah. But it's more so like you have that assurance. You have that
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't really know. The odds are the odds, but I wouldn't be surprised or shocked as much as maybe other people might be. But I think there's a lot of hype around him. I've heard a lot of crazy things said about him. But I would love to see him in the NBA, but I can't fault him for not wanting to play for the Hornets.
I'm stoked for March Madness on the topic of that. And this draft is going to be stacked. I want the Clippers to trade up in this particular draft. I don't know what they're going to do this offseason, but I would love for the Clippers because, as it stands, the Clippers are probably going to get the Thunder's pick unless they finish above the Rockets. So they're probably going to get the Thunder's pick, which would be the 30th pick, 29th pick. Yeah. I think the Clippers should move up. But yeah, stoked for March Madness right around the corner.
Speaking of March Madness, sorry to cut you off, but the next take is, what is your March Madness winner? Without research, without anything.
Yeah, because I haven't been watching. I usually tune in
vibes,
right before.
Dude. Just based off of vibes, of history, who's kind of been going on, like who have you been hearing? It could be Cooper Flagg and Duke, or it could be.
Dude, honestly, I don't know. I have no idea what their standings are in their division or whatever. But
just say a name, dude.
Rutgers, dude.
That's a horrible fucking pick.
Look at the two. Look at Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, dude. Those guys are the truth, bro. Those guys are the truth. Both of them are going to be top 5 picks. If Cooper Flagg doesn't go to the NBA this season, Dylan Harper's the unanimous first pick in the draft at that point. Ace Bailey's great, looking like a mix between like Jabari Smith Jr. and Paul George. Like he's got some issues with shot selection, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where Rutgers is in the standings. I don't know. No. Okay. I like geographically, I know where it is, but I'm talking where they what their chances are of making it to the. Yeah, but I'm just gonna say Rutgers. Why not? Like this could be. There's college basketball fans that are laughing at me right now. I just know that those two guys are for real.
I don't watch college basketball like that either.
If I'm being real, Baylor maybe. VJ Edgecombe is really, really good. Duke obviously is the favorite. They have probably 4 lottery picks in this draft.
I gotta go with Duke myself. I gotta go with Duke, or I think UConn could run it back again.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Rutgers. I'm gonna say Wichita State. That's who I'm going.
Ooh. I always choose Wichita State to go.
I love Wichita State. I haven't been keeping
I just like the
all.
name Wichita.
Yeah, it's a great sounding word.
Yeah.
For sure. And their mascot's like a corn or something, isn't he?
I don't know.
Like a stalk of corn. I don't know.
Corn on the cob.
Yeah, it's a corn on the cob. Anyway, this is getting silly, guys. Is that it for quick takes?
That's it for quick takes. That's all I got.
Guys, that's all we got. The Clippers gave us all they got the last 3 games,
Yep.
so let's hope that they continue to do that. Hopefully they didn't burn out all their energy on the last 3 wins, because the Clippers need every single win that they can get moving forward. I would say that this is like an easier schedule coming up, so I would like to see the Clippers go in the next 4 games. I'd like to see the Clippers go 3-1.
Me too.
3-1, 2-2. I'll settle with, but 3-1. Let's pencil it in 3-1. I'm making my predictions. So we hope to get to you guys next week with a 3-1 report. James Harden's playing at an all-time level. Kawhi Leonard's getting there. Clippers are getting some help from their role players. Hopefully we continue to roll. The Clippers really, really need it, as they stand at 8th currently in the West and are trying to, claw and scrape to get out of the play-in situation. So, guys, thank you so much for listening, for tuning in, for bearing with us. It's been a roller coaster, but we are here to be the ride operators on this roller coaster. And hopefully it's not one of those janky roller coasters that you see at the county fair. This is a Disneyland,
Tatsu, bro.
Yeah, this is a Disneyland level roller coaster. We keep it.
Yeah,
we hold
Splash
it down
Mountain.
here. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As Rola said, you can up top you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on most streaming platforms: Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at ClipServicePod. Like, comment, subscribe wherever you can. We really appreciate all the support. And as Franklin Delano Roosevelt always said, let's go Clips.
Salute.
Yes, sir.